our own, like our journey through like the discussions of this.
That's right. So recap, the last month-ish has felt like a nice break, and I don't have any strong pull in either direction. And I'm with you. Like, I think that like something about it, whether like our focus or the name of it,
and maybe it is just the focus. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm wondering if like Sit Crooked Talk Straight has run its course.
Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned this before, kind of like not running out of topics, but like I'm always like, I wonder what we're going to talk about. Like, I wonder, right? Because for a while there felt like these like really like specific directions of like, oh, I want to talk about like this, or this is going on in my life, and like this is really pivotal or important or whatever. Now it's more of like, can we turn that into a show? Like, can we like, and we can turn
anything
into, like, you and I can turn anything into whatever we want it to be, right? Like if we want to like make it like whatever. So I love that about us, but I also maybe like thinking about a different trajectory, focus, name. My gut reaction is I don't have a really strong like, no, Sit Crooked Talk Straight is like who we are. Like I don't have that feeling. I'm more of like, I love what we've done with it.
Me too.
And maybe like the season is ready to change, and I'm open. I want to think. You said the Trailblazers Way.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know if that's specifically, for the podcast, or it keeps coming up, and I'm like, I'm not sure where to put this. I just know it's going to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Or maybe we, because when I think about it, I don't think I'm ready to totally get rid of it. I think that like, I always think about like, don't throw the fucking baby out with the bathwater. Hold up a minute. Like, hold on. like I'm talking to one of my clients, and I told her, because she was like, nope, I'm just going to scrap it all. I'm like, whoa, let's pivot. All we have to do is switch around some wording. All we have to do is like really call to, because she's like, I'm getting people, anyways, whatever. She has her thing. She's like, I'm getting people who are not wanting to create this bigger legacy. And that's her whole thing. I'm like, you're just wanting people who are wanting to leave corporate and going into their own business. So you're helping them do that. Anyway, so that's what was going on in my mind of just like, hold on a second. Like, there's no reason to scrap it all like I'm used to, of just like the extremes, So I think definitely the break was helpful, and creating this space of like reflection, right? And like you were saying, in this place of gratitude of like, God, we fucking did all that. Like, that is really cool. And what's the next level, right? I feel like we both are going through this point of transition of like that reflection, like sort of watching us outside of our bodies, like, that's interesting. Like, what is going to happen there?
Totally. Well, and I love that ease. I'm definitely in a place of like, if it's not, and this is, you'll get it. If it's not like easy, and it's not that if like, cause I'm down with, you get it. I'm down with like challenges and like working hard and like being motivated, but I'm also like very much like, if that thing over there is not for me, then like,
yeah,
not gonna try to
force my way into it.
Force it. Yeah. Like if it doesn't come with some sense of ease, and maybe peace is the
That's what I was going to say. It's like ease within. It's not about like how difficult or whatever. It's just like this ease. It's not this inner conflict. And of course that sometimes like we do. I think that we have hit that inner conflict of like, hold on a second. Something's got to change, right? And that's where the growth is. That's where the growth happens. And then it's about the ease, right? Where it's like something jars us and then we're like, okay, hold on. Let's do this with ease and flow. Like, not everything has to be hard and, you know, you have to strive for, like, that's what we're getting out of the, you know, out of the way from. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Well, and it really speaks to what you were talking about the last time we talked of the feminine energy and working with like hearing other entrepreneurs talk about like the hustle and the grind and like the fire, right? Like the action, the fire, the masculine energy. And like now you're more of like, let's just do some yoga and then see you know, like let's just breathe and see where we land. And it's kind of like I view it as similar to like the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Hard work is inevitable. Striving and the struggle and the reaching and that is optional.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that we don't move forward. We just move forward differently, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Tell me more about obviously like Trailblazers Way being like connected to your, what are you called now? Sorry.
No, you're good. Institute for Female Trailblazers. Yeah.
Because I still have NLLP and on like everything, next level life purpose on like everything. So like that's ingrained in my head. But so like the Trailblazers Way being.
But I wanted to represent both of us. That's why I'm like, I don't know if that's for the podcast. You know what I mean? I don't.
But you would bring your business stuff, like your focus, you would bring you to the table and I would bring because I do believe 1,000% in like breaking free from the path that everyone else says you have to take. Like being a trailblazer, I have never used that language. Have I ever like thought about it in those terms? No, I've more been like the rebellious, like not like I'm forging a new path, but rather this is interesting, but rather I'm saying like fuck you to all the other like restrictions, which leads to forging a new path. But like I've been more about the and maybe this is my next level is yes, like the internal resolve or the commitment to break away from the norm, the status quo, but then having a vision for what next, right? Like, I don't know that in my business, because I still do like the hybrid therapy coaching.
Reiki. Traditional therapy, energy work. Yeah.
Western meets Eastern meets boxes meets expansion meets like all of the things. And so it is kind of like having my cake and eating it too. Trailblazing. What does the trail look like? What is the path? What does the path ahead of me look like? And what is the path behind me? Because what I'm leaving behind, like the legacy, right? Like the legacy that we leave behind us while we're still moving forward, they're still, right? Like we're still impacting. We're still leaving a footprint.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me think of like the footprints that came even before us, right? With our ancestors and how what we're leaving behind is not just our footprints, but also, you know, our bondages to certain, what do I want to say, like belief systems and yeah, like what are you leaving behind can be in so many ways, right? Of just like what footprint are you leaving behind, what legacy are you leaving behind, and what old patterns and traumas are you leaving behind that aren't a part of who it's always a part of who you are, but like not your identity. But anyways, yeah,
But
just like
but is it who you want to be, right? Like I think
right.
about like my like the ancestral trauma. I think about like my mom grew up youngest of 7, dirt poor.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother died when she was like 16. Her dad died when she was 18. She never had, so like that trauma and like my like incorporating that lineage into my healing and my story. And like, I don't want to be, I can be grateful for the lessons and I can be grateful for the movement, but I don't want to, some of those things don't serve me or future generations at all.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say?
No, I was thinking of just like how you actually embedded it in there of just like having the gratitude and looking at the sacrifices made. I don't know. I just thought of like a podcast session. Just like, right, honoring all of the women before us for all the sacrifices that they made, right? Like when I think about your mom and growing up and having such young experiences with death, you know, significant people, like significant caregivers, parents. And then with my mom, I think of like her being kicked out of the house with me when they found out she was pregnant with me and like the sacrifice there. And we spend so much time and focus, I feel like, on the healing, which is so, so important. We cannot, like we have to. What I want to also highlight is like celebrating our ancestors, celebrating all the women who went through what they did so that we could be
resiliency so that we could be what we want to be.
Yeah. Right. It's just a different focus. Again, it's the healing process, but part of that healing process is also the acknowledgement and the celebration of everything too.
I like it a lot. So what do we do from here? Like chew on it for a little bit? Like how do you want to, because I don't have our list pulled out for episodes, but I know we're like really ahead. I think we're like through September maybe.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Where did that go? Here.
Through August.
Through August? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So we have these two.
What if we... I feel like logistically, like restructuring, kind of like record for a period of time and then take a break. I want that. That feels important.
Same.
Does it feel important to finish out this year with 6? I mean, we can we could stop. We can say September 2nd is our last episode. or record a last episode and let it air on September, whatever that next one would be, the 9th. 10th.
I think it would be good for us to, I feel too, that it would be good for us to finish out this year and lead up to, in some form or fashion, whether we take like December off or something like that, but lead into, we're pivoting, and we're pivoting with you, and we're transitioning, and we're creating, you know what I mean? Like, so having, at least our last couple, 6 episodes or 4 episodes being this, always talking about this transition, and we can't wait for what's next and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What was it? Oh my gosh. It's when we, what was it that I said? You know how everybody talks about new year, new you. It's and I hated that. I hated it. So it's
new year, true you.
True you. Yeah. So it's just new year, next level true you, or something like that. Something, right? Be ready for our next level. We're ready for yours. We're listening to you. We're hearing you collectively, feeling you collectively, and ready.
I like it.
So, yeah, that's sort of just.
I want to sleep on it. I want to see what the wave for me is anyway, how I respond internally to that kind of wave.
Yeah.
But my knee jerk, my gut reaction is yes. This feels like the right movement and trajectory.
Yeah.
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 I'm excited about whatever it morphs into is going to be beautiful.
Yeah. And what I was just thinking too is if we end right towards the, even if we record and it leads up until until the end of December or whatever, then giving ourselves a couple weeks to really plan. I want us to be able to plan out and be intentional with okay, what do we want to talk about for this next month? What's coming up, or I'd like to go intuitively, but I also think that right, if we're gonna move forward, which I don't know, I'll leave it because you sleep on it. I just feel like that's right, but that's me. And again, I'm okay either way. This is a discussion, and we're connected forever regardless, so it doesn't matter. I think again, it's just this pivot, this next step for both of us. But I don't know, so having some sort of path forward, of what do we want to bring, and sort of bringing it back to, because we haven't really allowed ourselves that space, that creative space to just dive in. It was more logistics, and it's well, how are we going to do this? Do we need to put this in? Blah, 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 blah. And it's let's just fucking get creative again. That's what I feel it's just bringing it back to that drawing board, with all the knowledge that we have now and all the experience. So yeah, that's what I'm feeling. And so yes to breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Possibility of changing name. Who knows? I don't even know. I don't know. Right? That was just something, but also having more of and again, it's not we have to schedule out months in advance. It's just month to month. What do we want to talk about? What experiences? You're a great storyteller. What stories do we want to tell our listeners, and what's happening in the world? And I think just too, with just looking at what's happening with, I was thinking about reposting or who said it, and doing a clip of the debate. I think that this is really important work, that we're all coming to head with, of just giving people inspiration and hope, and banding together and having a community. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of room. There's a lot of space.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Feels good.
It does. So sleep on it. When do we want to? Well, okay, so we're going to actually stop here with the recording.
Okay.
I want to thank you all for listening as we process through the transformation and transition that everybody's going through, and we are not, excluded from that transformation. We are always up-leveling and exploring and expanding and having adult conversations.
I'm here for it.
Right? I feel like that's what I've been saying so much. I'm like, I'm here for it. I don't know. I'm just here for it. So we thank you for coming on this journey with us.